Flash Gordon Park Show is an interview series geared towards preserving Houston culture. I am an ethnomusicologist, historian, DJ who uses different mediums to tell stories. I have published books, produced and directed films, and collected records from all over the world. In 2015, I directed the documentary, This Thing We Do, Houston DJ Culture Revealed, which is an introduction to the world of DJing here in the city of Houston. In 2019, I received a grant from the Houston Arts Alliance in the city of Houston to continue the efforts of documenting the diversity and history of individuals. One of those individuals is the legendary Archie Bell, soul singer from 5th Ward, Texas.
Hi everybody, we're Archie Bell in the drill, Houston, Texas. We don't only sing, but we dance just as good as we want. In Houston, we just started a new dance, and it's called the Tighten Up. Now this is the music that we tighten up with. First, we tighten up on the drum. All right now, drummer, come on now. Now tighten it up. Oh yeah, tighten up on that drum now.
Archie Bell's contribution to Houston music culture is undeniable. His impact on the world has remained viable for over 50 years. It is such an honor to sit and talk with one of the Bayou City's most prominent residents, the legendary Archie Bell.
Now everybody tighten up, come on now. I said we got a new dance now, and it sure is tough. Yeah now, I said the name of the dance now.
We was working in San Antonio for about a week, and when I heard a disc jockey say that nothing good ever came from Texas because of the Kennedy assassination.
Wow.
And I said, no, that's not true. Archie Bell is from Houston, from Texas, and they good. So that's what I got the word. Hi everybody, I'm Archie Bell and the Drells from Houston, Texas. We not only sing, but we dance as good as we walk.
Right.
And everything.
Now that opening line is iconic, and it's kind of cemented Houston's place in history, particularly in soul music. Like, you let everybody know off the rip that
right.
This is Houston, Texas, and this is what we're about,
right.
And you're gonna have a good time.
Right.
And from that moment on, I mean, the world has been checking for Houston, Texas.
That's what they say, that we want to put Houston on the world map. Houston wasn't known for nothing but oil and industry, you know,
right.
And with the ship channel here and everything. But when we did Tighten Up, everybody, when they mentioned Houston, Texas, they said, yeah, Archie Bell and the Drells. I got a chance to work with the Zydeco people, Clifton Chenier and all those people. So I think that's what Tighten Up came out of. You know, they didn't really understand what kind of, what the song was about.
What the sound was.
Yeah, you know, we call it Texas funk.
Right. Now, you said something interesting. You said the Texas funk that you guys were creating was a combination or influence from the Tejano side that you picked up working with Sonny. Right. And then the Zydeco, which Clifton Chenier, who's also a guy from 5th Ward, like yourself. So it's a blend of both of those sounds. Yeah. And then putting the heavy bass line, making it funky. Yeah, and the Tyrannonas was the one who invented the sound, because they're the one who created the music for Tighten Up. Okay. They used to use it for a break song when they get ready to take a break. And I asked Leroy Lewis one night, I said, what's this y'all playing and everything? He said, that's our break song. They didn't have a name for it, you know. So, I mean, you've been in this game very, very long, and at a young age. 58 years. Wow. 58 years. So how did you, like, do you remember the moment that you met Skipper Lee? Yeah, Skipper Lee started out as he was working with a furniture company. Okay. And everything, and after he worked with the furniture company, he got a job with the post office. He was carrying mail when I met him, but he had a show on the weekend over there at KCOH, at the Gold Room, you know, talent and everything. And so he was a DJ on the weekends and working
with post office
9 to 5. Yeah. Okay.
Before that, he was working with some furniture company. I don't remember the name of the place, but he was the kind of guy that hustle. You know, he was entrepreneur doing things. So you guys already had Tighten Up before you met Skipper Lee? No, we didn't. Skipper Lee was a DJ, but Sonny Ozuna, Sonny and the Sunliners came to Skipper Lee one day and said, Skip Lee, I want you to play my record and everything. You know, Skip Lee played. See, I tell you, make a deal with you. Take Archie Bell and the Drills on the road with you, and I'll play your record. That's how we got to work with Sonny.
Now, while you were in the Army, the song starts to pick up momentum, right?
Right.
You get a call from Skipper Lee, who tells you it just went gold.
Right.
And now you got to try to convince everybody in your
my unit.
in your unit that you had a hit record.
Yeah.
But they didn't believe you, right?
Right.
Now, I mean, what is that like? Like knowing you got a hit, but and at the time you said you were in an accident,
Yeah.
right? You broke your leg.
Yeah, I broke my left leg, and I was in the hospital in Worms, Germany. And my medic, the one who was taking care of my nurse, was taking. His name was Beckett.
Okay.
And I was telling him, I said, that record that's playing on the transistor radio, Beckett. I said, that's my song. And he said, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're right. You know, he didn't believe me.
Right.
And about 2 weeks later, an article came out in Overseas Weekly, the richest GI in the Army since ever. When they found out I wasn't telling them, you know, I wasn't lying to them and everything, well, they 8, 9 guys trying to get in a 4-man tent. You know,
Right.
I had an entourage. Everywhere I go, all these guys said, no, y'all didn't believe me and everything. Well,
Now, once you started to taste this success, though, like you had at least some kind of stardom, even in the military, right? Like you were still able to move around. You said you were able to get a brand new car.
Yeah.
Can you talk about just how that changed your life a little bit?
Well, when Skipper, right after Skipper Lee had called me and told me that I had the record that went gold, you know, I got about like a $64,000 check from Tighten Up.
Okay.
So I went down and bought me a little Javelin, American Javelin, you know, and
yeah.
The people in my company, some little redneck captain was telling me, you can't drive this car. You have to call home and ask your mother. You get your mother position. I said, man, you crazy. I got crazy with them too. And they wanted to give me an article out 15 for talking to an officer like I did. So I had a friend that with me. He ended up being like my side man and manager and everything. I said, man, they won't let me have the car. You can have it. They said, you gonna get that car to him? I said, y'all won't let me drive it, you know.
Right.
Well, after that, he gave me the keys back, you know.
Okay.
But that's what I did. But they tried to, you know, give me an Article 15 to give me bad conduct for talking to an officer like I did. I said, I got to call back to the United States and ask my mother, can I drive? And I've been driving these vehicles right here in Germany. You know what I'm saying? And
now, Mr. Bell, like, that's an interesting situation to me, particularly here we are, 2019, and, you know, supposedly post-racial America.
Right.
But you grew up in a time where it was definitely racism in your face 24/7.
Yeah.
And here you are, a black man, successful, a musician, an artist, even though you're in the military, creating this this music, and they're still trying to hold you back and stop you from enjoying the fruits of your own labor.
Right.
Like, can you talk a little bit just about how stressful that time period was back then, just with...
Well, it was really stressful, and I was really angry, you know, and I decided to put my anger and challenges with what I did. I put a little band together there in Germany called the Soul Sales, and we worked at this club called Johnny Keller's.
Okay.
It was a club downstairs, a black guy who got out of the military and stayed over in Germany.
Okay.
And everything, and we were doing pretty good, but when I bought the automobile and everything, they tried to do was hold me back.
Okay.
Jerry Lewis' son came in after I tried to get in the U.S., so they put him in. He was a white guy.
Okay.
And this guy, Crazy Guggenheim, who used to be on Jackie Gleason, they put his son in. So I went to my battalion command and protested, you know.
Yeah.
But after I had my accident, they made me assistant to the assistant mayor clerk, so I had a lot of free time to do what I wanted.
Okay.
Well, because if the mayor clerk couldn't make it, the system would take over. If the system couldn't take it, I would take over.
Okay.
But
you had room to kind of be creative
around,
and do stuff. You said something interesting that I guess somebody of my age wouldn't think about it, but back then, when you were a new artist without you know, the internet or like all of these outlets that we have now to know who Archie Bell is, somebody could say, oh, we got Archie Bell and the Drills here tonight, and if they've never seen you in a small town in Alabama or Georgia, they would just assume that it was you taking the stage, right? And a lot of that happened right during that time.
Yeah, they had 9 white boys before I got out of the Army, out of Nashville, Tennessee, Archie Bell and the Drills.
So they had white guys impersonating Archie Bell and the Drills.
Yeah, they did it for about maybe 6 months or a year, but when I got out, I got a chance to make it personal. And when I was in Germany, I came back overseas 3 times on a 3-day pass to record in New York, you know, and cover some of that stuff. I did that about 3 times, and flew out of Germany on a Friday, got to New York Saturday, recorded Sunday, stayed up all night now, trip, and then you're going to record it in New York.
And you did that just to keep the name alive.
Yeah, and to record.
Just keep new.
I can't stop dancing.
Okay.
Showdown, all other stuff. I was recording that, you know, while I was in them because.
Now, there's many different, I guess, stories about how Tighten Up ended up like breaking. There's the one story about Gladys Gigi Hill. Who was a DJ along with Skipper Lee at KCOH back then. The story goes because you were telling me you wrote Dog Eat Dog, and they were trying to push that as the A side with Tighten Up on the flip side. And according to the legend, Gladys Gigi Hill was the one who kind of
flipped it over.
She flipped it over and said, "This is the hit. This is the song you should be playing." Because you said Skipper Lee really didn't know.
No, he
didn't know what was a hit or what wasn't a hit. He was
you know, he did when he sent the record to Atlantic Records, they looked at it and Dog Eat Dog. New York is a Dog Eat Dog city, so that's why they played that.
Okay.
And Skipper Lee commented, "They playing Dog Eat Dog." I said, "Man, he come in German. They playing the wrong song."
Okay.
So I told him after Gigi flipped it over, they got New York to flip it over.
Okay.
200,000 copies every weekend.
Wow.
They put Tighten Up Part 2 on the other side. Took Dog Eat Dog.
Oh, okay.
So if you find a record with on Atlantic label that Tighten Up and Dog Eat Dog, it's about $1,500.
Okay.
Mint condition.
Now, you told me earlier somebody gave you some advice about, because I was remarking about how you always show up, like every time I see you, you know, you're cut from that cloth of representation and, you know, reputation is important. Who was the gentleman that told you if you look good, sing good?
That's right.
Who was that guy that told you that?
It was a guy out of Atlanta, Georgia. He was on the first show that I did when I got out of the Army.
Okay.
Gorgeous George.
Gorgeous George,
His real name is Odell George.
Okay.
From Pine Bluff, Arkansas, but he was like the MC.
Right.
And he would come to town and do his show, and he was the MC. Every time he came out on the stage, he had a different outfit. And when he walked on the stage, the women was screaming like he was singing. He would be singing the song and fall off the stage.
Okay.
Never got hurt. The women would come out and pick him up and take him back. And when the next artist, he'd be changed clothes. He told me, say, if you stay clean and you look clean, you got a good show, you got it made.
Okay.
And everything, if you don't have a good show and you clean, the women don't love you anyway. He wasn't a good entertainer, but girl, he was sharp as a tack.
Yeah.
And I kept that always in mind, and I looked at all the other people with Motown and how they did and everything. That's half the show, you know. You go on and you look good and everything, the women go crazy. They be chasing you around the building and all over the place. But
right.
That's one thing, be clean and always you treat yourself like a gentleman.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned, you know, just a little bit about your you know, just tenacity of trying to get into the industry, like going up to seasoned artists and entertainers and asking them, what can you do to get into the business?
Right.
And you said, you know, not everybody was welcoming and, you know, but I'm interested to know, particularly in this city, we talked a little bit about Don Roby earlier.
Right.
how much of the music business was cutthroat and dangerous or mafia related, or just some kind of gangsters involved in the situation that made it a little bit more dangerous?
Well, all of the music was like that. A lot of things that happened in show business that just really blew me, but that's the really thing I think he did,
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, was killed because they wanted their own record company.
Wow.
Etta James said she went to see Sam Cooke after he had been killed, and they beat him so bad they almost beat his nose off his face.
Wow.
Otis Redding was the same thing. He went to all the record companies in New York and everything. We don't want that old country shit down, that old blues stuff. So he went to New York once, and these three guys hung him up in the elevator. Otis was a big guy. He waxed all of them.
Yeah.
But right after that, he ended up, the plane being fixed.
Oh, wow.
And,
so what kind of reputation did Don Roby have in the city?
Just like everybody else, just the gangster mafia, you signed with him, and a lot of people got used. A lot of people didn't ever get what they had. Don Roby had Bobby Bland on a contract for 25 years. Later on, Bobby bought him out of the contract for $25,000, I guess, for $1,000 a year.
Okay.
Stuff like that. People really got cheated, didn't get their money, and a lot of things happened.
Now, as a young man, you already knew that going into the business, you knew it wasn't fair, and so you had your mind already focused on.
That's why I concentrated on being something different.
Okay.
Being not like the regular guys, not being an alcoholic or a drug addict. You had to keep it clean, and still got real flat for flat.
Yeah.
And back then, when we went to record labels and everything, we had to have people like Huey Moore take the record to Atlanta. He was a white man. If Skip Lee took the record to the record company, he probably wouldn't even get out of the foyer in a day. But when Huey Moore went up there, they knew Huey and everything, his reputation, and the song kind of, they had never heard nothing different that. So after Huey went up there and talked to him and everything, that's why I opened the doors. And Gigi playing the record here.
Okay. Yeah. So, what you're telling me is you had to be really strategic in order to make all of these things really hit.
It's a lot of things that I didn't know, but by me being in the business, sitting there with them guys and talking, I began to put two and two together.
Now, did you work a lot with Huey Moore? What type of man was he?
Well, Huey Moore was just the one who said it, and he tried to get us on the label. We never did anything with him. He knew Skip Lee. That was Skip Lee's partner.
Now, as far as Don Roby, because his reputation and the folklore around him is just, it's so mythical. But what's the most outrageous thing you've heard or seen involving Don Roby, other than him holding Bobby Bland under contract for 25 years?
Well, a lot of people don't know it, but what happened is Johnny Ace's contract was getting ready to run out in 2 or 3 weeks, and they was, he was up there talking trash to Don Roby, and everything. And
you talking about the infamous night with Johnny Ace?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what happened is they said that Johnny Ace was shot playing Russian roulette. How you play Russian roulette with a 45?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's what they 45.
Said. Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, I believe
not a revolver.
No.
Okay.
They believe that Roby shot, but it's Johnny Ace.
Let's talk a little bit after your work with Skip Lee, and then you guys get on Atlantic. But then there was a moment where Philly International comes into the picture, and you start working with Gamble and Huff.
No.
What was that experience like?
Well, we was on Atlantic label. Gamble and Huff was our producer, but we was on Atlantic label with Tighten Up, I Can't Stop Dance, Showdown.
Right.
Okay, and everything. And after that, Atlantic dropped us.
Okay.
We went from Atlantic to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, with Prince Philip Mitchell.
Okay.
A guy named Dave Crawford out of Jacksonville, he was a producer, and a guy named Brad Shapiro. We went to Muscle Shoals and cut the album.
Okay.
And after after Atlantic dropped us, we went down to the Hialeah, Florida.
Okay.
With Steve Alamo and KC and what was the owner of the name?
With Clarence Reed now?
No, the owner of the thing. Henry Stoner.
Okay.
Henry Stoner was the owner, you know, and everything. You know. So after we went out there and cut with most shows and everything, after the Gambling Huff had dropped us, we went to their label. They were supposed to have all this material waiting for me when I got down there. We went out with about 4 or 5 songs that we had cut in my show. And after that, after we went in and recorded, I told my manager, my road manager, I said, man, it's not going to work. I go in there and they end up writing stuff when I got there. They supposed to have stuff already ready.
Okay.
So what we did is release the 4 songs that we had cut most shows on their label. We never did do anything that they did for me new.
Now, what was it like working in Muscle Shows? Because that was a legendary studio.
That's right. Everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Aretha.
Yeah. Rolling Stone. Everybody.
Yeah.
But when I first got down there, I walked in the studio and had all these white guys, and I said to myself, I said, I don't know if this shit gonna work.
You didn't think they had the funk?
I had forgot about it. Aretha Franklin was down there.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And when they got in there and started playing the first song, I said, I need to kick myself in the behind. When we did the song, I said, man, this is really great.
Can you talk a little bit about, like, because during that era, music had changed much from Tighten Up to about the time you did Strategy.
Right.
Can you talk about, like, was that an adjustment of, you know, like leaving Houston and working with other people outside of the Houston scene?
No, it wasn't that part, because if you listen to Harold Melvin, the Blue Notes, and now Teddy Pendergrass, you could always hear a little Tighten Up flavor. When I came home on leave once, we went to a place called Lunside, New Jersey. And after the first show, Kenny Gamaliel Huff came in the dressing room.
Okay.
He said, hey man, we like to produce you. I didn't know who Kenny Gamaliel Huff was. And so I called Skipper Lee. Skipper Lee called Atlantic Records, and Atlantic Records was excited about it. That's why I Can't Stop Dancing.
Okay.
And if you listen to I Can't Stop Dancing and Tighten Up, it's the same key and flavor.
Right.
But Tighten Up, it was a jam. When we left Glaze, I called Kenny back, and one day we were sitting in the restroom, and John Whitehead said, I got a nice ballad for you. Let's go and talk to Kenny and them about it.
Yeah.
And we went in the office and said, hey, we got this nice ballad for Archie. So Archie ain't no ballad man. He's a dance man. I said, he crazy as hell. I started off in the Baptist church, and I sang the best ballad.
Yeah.
That's what we did. I Won't Leave You, Honey, Never.
Okay.
And after then, everybody wanted to give me ballads and everything. I said, no, let's keep it easy. You got 2 ballads, we got 2, 3 up-tempo things.
Now, let's kind of talk about, like, the formula back then.
Right.
Or, like, you know, if I bought an album in, let's say, 1974, what would I usually expect? Like, the A side would pretty much have the up-tempo songs, right? And then somewhere in there would be mid-tempo, and then the ballads.
Yeah.
Like, why was the music structured in that way? Or, you know, for them to even think like you couldn't sing the ballads, you know, like you had to be all dance music, or like, was that the formula back then, like to have a little bit of everything for everybody?
Yeah, it was like, you know, full album. You can buy an album nowadays, have 1 hit on it.
Yeah.
And everything, but we had them ballads, and they never expected me to be a ballad. When we first did the stuff, they thought it was those J's.
Really?
You know, yeah. Eddie Verk came to me and told me I was taking food out of his kid's mouth. I said, man, what you mean? I said, go talk to the producer. Me and him in the same range, you know, and everything.
Yeah.
And everything. And
so you would get that from other artists, like feeling like you were stepping on their toes?
Yeah. We did a couple of shows with the Temptation. We got to Savannah, Georgia. Temptation told the promoter we had to leave the show because we was waxing. He told me, he said, man, I'm going to pay y'all tonight, but I'm going to let y'all go. But one day we was sitting at the office in Houston here, and the phone rang. Skip Lee said, y'all want to do Radio City Music Hall? I said, yeah, who's on the show? Bobby Womack, Donna Summer, Temptation Headline. I said, yeah. That's a good way to pay us back.
Yeah.
So when we got up there and everything, did the show and everything, we opened up the show.
Okay.
So y'all gonna have to open. I said, I don't care, just put us on there. So we opened up the show. So when we opened up the show and everything, We did Let's Groove, I Can't Stop Dancing, I think 3 or 4 songs. And when the stage would come up, the stage came up from the floor.
Okay.
We came on with a Let's Groove. No, we came on with I Can't Stop Dancing.
Okay.
The other song, then Let's Groove is what we went off, and when we went off, the stage was going down, and we would go to the east side of the stage and jump and leap, and the people would see us as we going down.
Yeah.
And they all ran to the looking down at the stage.
Yeah.
When the stage went all the way down, they turned out the lights, and everybody left the stage, and they turned the light back on, and people were like, they couldn't believe it. Like one of those funkadelic things that we just And the next day in the reviews, said Archie Bell and the Drills opened and closed Radio City Music Hall. The Temptation could have stayed home.
Wow.
You know,
that was the write-up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So was Radio Music Hall, was that your biggest stage to perform? Like, what was the biggest stage you've ever performed on?
Carnegie Hall.
Carnegie Hall. What year was that?
That was in, it might have been about 74, 73 or 74, somewhere between there.
Who was on the bill?
The group called Platinum Hook.
Okay.
Peach and Herb headlining.
Okay.
And when I think we went on after Platinum Hook, we was in the middle.
Okay.
And I went to Peach's Herb dressing room right before the show, and he was playing my stuff. I said, man, you playing my music? Yeah, man, I love y'all stuff and everything. I said, I like Shaky Groove thing. They did so many beautiful ballads,
yeah.
Everything. But that was the biggest highlight that we ever were. Carnegie Hall was like, after Carnegie Hall in the United States, there wasn't anything else to do.
Right. And internationally, where some of the biggest
London,
days.
England.
London, England.
They got a place called the Indigo 2.
Okay.
Largest disco in the world. I think it's about 15,000 seats. And the place was 3 levels, floor, 2 levels, and everything was like packed.
Now I want to talk a little bit about your solo, like after,
Right.
Archie Bell and the Drills was no more, and you put out this solo record in 1981 on Beckett, which I was telling you is this is one of my favorites.
Right.
Like, I mean, I like the group stuff, but this has some of the most underrated, I think, music in your catalog, particularly, like I was telling you about that particular year, 81, which is commonly referred to as a boogie funk era.
Right.
And I mean, these songs are some of the best songs in that period. Can you talk a little bit about what that experience was to go out on your own and perform and record?
Right. Well, I ran into a guy in Philadelphia called Dave Morris.
Okay.
And another guy named Brad Shapiro. And after I left Philly International and everything, I said, Archie, you need to do a solo album. I said, that's really great. But when we got in and started recording, I said to myself, that's the best music I've ever done. All the other stuff is great now, but as a solo artist,
Right.
I was able to choose what songs I wanted to do before they would put them up and, they direct me to it. I chose the songs that I think would be really great.
Okay.
Like I said, it was the best stuff that I ever did.
Yeah, way more creative control on this.
Yeah.
You didn't have to vote. Was that the process with you guys? Did you guys have to vote on what you wanted to put on the album, or?
Well, I always kind of chose the one, but
Okay.
some of the songs that I didn't think was the best music ended up being the best music. The one that was my favorite. Can't nobody choose music.
Okay.
The people choose the music.
What's a song that you didn't think was gonna be a smash and ended up being successful?
A song called "Show Me How to Dance."
Okay.
"Don't Let Love Get You Down."
Okay.
This is #1 record in England right now.
Okay.
A few other stuff that I had doubts about, but I would always say this is gonna be this, and I always turn up different what I would say.
Okay.
And you can't choose. The people choose the records too, and the way the people promote the song.
Now, did you have people around you in your camp that you would let them listen to early demos or early things to get their opinion.
Yeah. We did that in the studio when we be in the studios, listen to the song. We had a song called "I've Been Missing You." It could have been a #1 tune, but they didn't put the money behind the album to promote it.
Okay.
When this came out, I had all the freedom to do my solo album. I had all the freedom to choose what I want to do. Plus, the guys producing the song said this would be a good song for you, Archie.
So I want to bring it back to Houston for a little bit. We were talking a little bit about gentleman Charles Bush, who was a protege of Ray Barnett.
Right.
So I wanted to know if you had any interesting Ray Barnett stories, because I'm sure you played at some of his clubs.
Yeah, the Cinder Club. That was
Cinder Club was the one.
Yeah, with the Taranada. We used to work with them in the Taranada.
And that was on Griggs, right?
Yeah, no, it was on Dixie Drive.
Okay, Dixie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red Griggs, when you cross Scott Street, it turns into Dixie Drive.
Okay.
And he had one of those stages that raised up out of the club too.
He had one of those?
That was the first time I had my experience with that, but Ray did a lot, he did a lot of things for us, from the entertainment side. That was one of the first places we started working as a professional group, even after time now.
Now, what type of man was he? Because I only know him by legend. Hustler.
He's a hustle man.
Okay.
He did everything. One day you see him, he be selling watermelon. Next day he be doing the barbecue places. Ray did a lot of stuff, all kind of stuff. I think one of the things that hurt him when he was at the Center Club, when he come to the club with a wheelbarrow full of money, and the people looking at this,
so
they got, you see how brothers is,
right.
They see you making money and jealousy, whatever.
Yeah. So he would literally come with a wheelbarrow through the club.
The people hauling his money out to take the money out to the truck.
Wow.
And plus, Otis Rennie came in the club one night, and
okay.
The guy in the door and everything, Otis came in, about 10 people in the foyer there, and said, Ray Barnett expected me tonight. I'm Otis Rennie, and they said, your name ain't on the list. So Otis said, my name ain't on the list. So he looked around and pulled out a water and said, I want to pay for everybody in here, including me.
Yeah.
When Ray Barnett found out about it, he fired the guy.
Wow.
Stuff like that happened, but he was a character, He was the man of the century. And later on, Charles Bush, started hooking with us. Charles Bush took his place when he went out, when he went down.
Okay. Now, at one point in time, they were the center of black nightlife in Houston, right? Like if you wanted to go out, chances are you were going to a Ray Barnett or Charles Bush.
Yeah. Ray Barnett had 8 clubs, Charles Bush had 7.
Wow.
all the Third Ward out there, everything, the 50-yard line, flight time, the Big Apple. Charles Bush had a lot of clubs. We could work all his clubs too,
Okay. Now, after your career, starts to go a different direction, like you mentioned to me, like a lot of times people tried to come to you and get you to switch up your sound, or I'm assuming as going into the 80s, trying to get you to be current or like whatever was popular, jump on that train. Why was it important for you to remain the figure that you are, the iconic Archie Bell that we've known and loved for all of these years?
Well, I always knew that I liked the group concept,
Okay.
My mother had 7 boys.
Okay.
And I was number 2. And a younger brother, number 5, Ricky Bell, he played pro football with USC and later on went to Tampa Bay. And I always had a group concept, I wanted that.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to get me to go into some kind of solo thing by myself with punk, funk, or different change of music. I said, I'm going to stay true to what I'm about.
Right.
That's why I stayed true to what I did. And if that was going to happen, it happened later on down the line. Nothing lasts forever.
Right.
It happened down the line, so I just stuck what I do until it happened, But I didn't want to change because we had something going, and you got to start off the way you started before we begin. You keep that true level and everything until it burns out, wear down,
Right.
My time ain't gonna be around too much longer and everything, so I'm doing what I can while I can. In this business, you more to them dead than alive.
I mean, to have a song like every artist wish they had a Tighten Up in their catalog, but then there are some artists who feel like that one hit kind of defines them or pigeonholes them. Yeah. Did you ever feel that way with Tighten Up because everybody loves that one particular song so much?
Yeah, when we used to go do shows, the first thing we get on stage, we want to hear Tighten Up.
Yeah.
I said, no, we got to say that the best for last.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, you know, people do expect, you know, to do it and everything. But
do you ever get tired of performing Tighten Up?
No, if I don't do Tighten Up, they run me out of the zone on the rail. So, you know, I can hit in my sleep. I be asleep sometimes, dreaming like I'm in the club. All right, everybody tighten up now. Tighten up on the drum. And I wake up, I say, man, this is a trip, you know. And the older I get, the more it happens. You know?
Okay, yeah. So, in closing, I'd just like to say thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure to sit here and talk with you.
All right.
And I wish you plenty more success in everything that you do.
All right.